Let's bring in our ace political panel. Krystal Ball is an MSNBC contributor and Democratic strategist. Jonathan Capehart is also an MSNBC contributor and an opinion writer for the Washington Post. I want to put something to both of you in a moment, but we've been following the contraception battle in Congress, and Rush Limbaugh's idiotic comments about Sandra Fluke, a Georgetown University law student who was courageous enough, as both of us know, or all three of us know, to testify in favour of the need for contraception. Just a few minutes ago, Rush Limbaugh actually doubled down on his own ludicrous thoughts by saying this, and I'm quoting, "So, Miss Fluke and the rest of you feminazis, here's the deal. If we're going to pay for your contraceptives and thus pay for you to have sex, we want something for it. We want you to post the videos online so we can all watch." That's a direct quotation. Krystal, I mean, I'm speechless.
It's despicable and disgusting, and coming from a loathsome individual who has no idea the class and the courage that it took for Sandra to testify. And don't forget, he obviously did not actually listen to her testimony or doesn't care what was actually in her testimony, because what she spoke about is a friend who lost an ovary because she could not afford birth control. This is not just about contraception. This is about women's health. But you know what? Rush Limbaugh should keep it up, because he's making our case for us about how extreme and obnoxious the Republican position on this issue is.
Jonathan, we know that Rush Limbaugh is a peculiar individual, according to many people, but what do you think he means by suggesting that he wants to watch videos of students at Georgetown University using the contraception pill?
I have no idea.
Can you speculate?
Well, look, I'm not going to speculate or try to get inside the head of Rush Limbaugh why he would say, as Krystal accurately described, deplorable, despicable, disgusting comments like that about a college student who is talking about something not just contraception, but women's health. I'm really troubled and saddened by the coarsening of political discourse. There's a way to talk about these things without being hateful, without being rude or derogatory against people. Sure, Rush Limbaugh is on the other side of the contraception issue. For him to go down this low road, I think it's low even for him.
That's speaking some. Krystal, it almost feels as though this young woman is disqualified, A, because she's a student, and of course we don't want, according to some Republican candidates, for our young people to go to university. She talks about birth control. Well, of course, no one should have the right to birth control. And of course, she's a woman.
Yeah, Rush Limbaugh is a bully, right? And that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to shame her. He's already called her a slut. He made another comment that he'd pay for as much aspirin as Georgetown students wanted to put between their knees. He is a loathsome individual, and that is absolutely right. It's the same tactics, though they're used generally in a more subtle way, that are used to denigrate and undermine females in the public space all the time. And I just have to applaud Sandra Fluke for her courage in putting herself forward, because she had to have known that things were going to be thrown at her, unfair accusations, this sort of slamming and shaming was going to be headed her way.
Okay, let's move on for a moment if we can. John, in terms of fundraising, Rick Santorum raised something like $2 million in a year, but in the last month he raised $9 million. $9 million. Do you think Mitt Romney is now beginning to feel the heat of his breath on the back of his shoulder?
I bet he is. Remember on Tuesday night during his sort of victory speech in Michigan, for the first time, at least that I have heard, he asked for financial help. He asked for people to go to his campaign website and donate. You know, Rick Santorum raised $9 million in February. It's not clear how much money he has left on hand, because the Michigan race was such a closely fought race. But for Mitt Romney to be rattling the tin cup, Mitt Romney, who we've been saying for months is the guy with the organization, the guy who has a lot of money, for him to be facing Super Tuesday and rattling the tin cup, should be a cause for concern for a lot of people who are supporting Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
Krystal, what's also incredible is that both Santorum and Romney now appear to be whining and complaining about the unprecedented amount of money that's being spent. Listen to this.
in the case of the Santorum campaign and the Gingrich campaign, a single billionaire responsible for the lion's share of the funding of their super PACs, and that has a big impact.
Look, I don't have, billionaires giving me, tens of billions of dollars in super PACs. We raised $9 million in the last month.
Krystal, he doesn't have... Well, who's Foster Freeze, then?
I mean, all I can say is to all these guys, you reap what you sow, because they all were in favor of the Citizens United decision.
Right.
And if they're so upset about the money in politics, they could make that a part of their platform. But clearly, they're just trying to score political points here. But I did want to point out one other thing about Mitt Romney's campaign and his financial issues, because, look, I don't think they're going to be downgrading to the Super 8 motel anytime soon. He could obviously quite comfortably kick in his own money if it gets to that point.
He's got a bit. He doesn't know how much exactly, between 150 and 250.
But 70% of his donors are already maxed out. So that's why he's having to go to smaller donors. 70% of his donors cannot give any more in the primary. So he's got to open up the pool if he isn't going to kick in more of his own money.